Learners, in this program, the focus is on how Earth behaves as a system, the nation's agenda in the field of earth sciences, and activities of Ministry of Earth Sciences in areas like weather prediction and its bearing on the society.
Thank you very much and hello friends. It's really my proud privilege to give a talk on earth system science and society. Many times many people think that the scientists are away from the society, and that's why I thought how the science is being used to benefit various sections of the society could be a good topic to address. Also, the earth system science, actually it's a relatively very new term. It was coined in late 90s, after the satellite started going around the earth and collected lots of data which provided information that the earth is a single system. And the single system has different components, like we know it has atmosphere, it has ocean, it has a cryosphere, that means snow and ice, it has a geosphere and a solid earth, as well as the biosphere. Now, whatever is happening on the earth, especially related to weather, climate, as well as the hazards, are controlled by how the energy and mass are transferred from one component to the another component or within these components. I will give you an example of a monsoon. It starts the convection from the ocean, brings clouds to the land, and then it precipitates. Again, that water falls on the land through rivers, it goes back to the ocean. So, this is some kind of a water cycle, but in the process the lot of mass and energy gets from ocean to atmosphere to land and back to the ocean. So, similar there could be many other examples. Also, the earth system gives you an ecosystem through which we survive. It provides you food, it provides you energy. So, basically the understanding of the earth system is very vital for our sustaining the humanity on the planet earth. Now, you see on this variety of the processes which is shown by various arrows, which is I am not going to describe in detail, but essentially to understand the earth system we need to observe all these processes, and this observation we do through variety of the means. We do it through putting various instruments into atmosphere, in ocean, we use ships, we use aircraft, and of course, we use satellites. So, there are large amount of observations are collected to understand the different aspects of the earth system. All these observations are collected and what we say is assimilated into a models. Now, these models could be a global models where we take the observation from the entire globe, or it could be a regional models like Indian Ocean, then you take the observation of the Indian Ocean in a much more detailed manner, but you take the boundary conditions from the global model. So, essentially there are two aspects which is very critical, that once is the observation which defines the various processes which are taking place. Now, these are modeled, and when the models are run, it provides certain output, what we call as a forecast or a predictions of variety of the things. So, this is how any system by and large works, and in our system the data not only from the Indian satellites, but for the all international missions also have been used. Now, how do we have to progress? How do we make a improvement in all this knowledge about the earth system? So, we have set three main agenda. The first is we need to promote the discovery. That means we need to find out how the different processes are taking place, or find out the new areas like what we are doing in Antarctica, or the deep ocean earth, we are essentially exploring to find out what we do not know. And also we need to find out how the earth system interacts with the society. The second important aspect is understanding of the variety of the process between the various components of the earth system as well as the human society. Also interaction which are taking place between the one component and the another component. So these processes are taking place at different scales. It could be a global scale to a local scale, and it could be happening in few kilometers to thousands of kilometers. So this understanding is very critical. Once we have this knowledge about the understanding of the different processes, and if we discover any new phenomena or a new terrain, this knowledge we try to convert into some application. That is what we call as a providing certain services. That means once we know how monsoon is or the rains are coming, we try to use this information to provide the forecast, and this forecast can be on a different time scale. Today we are providing from a 1 day, 5 day, 10 day, 3 weeks, monthly, season, and on the climate scale, that means on decadal scale as well. So all this kind of thing, I will going to show you some of the examples how this knowledge is converted into some of the services which is very useful for the mankind. The first and the most important, as you know, is the weather forecast. Everybody in the general public, our agriculture, aviation, even including sports, all depends on the weather. Either our performance depends on this, or we would like to know that how weather is going to play important role in everybody's life. Now this looks very simple to when we communicate this to a common person, that tomorrow it is going to rain or not, or next 3 days the temperature is going to be up and down. But it is a very complex process. I would like to explain very briefly without going into great details. The first is the global models are run at about 25 kilometer resolutions. Now these models are run every 4 times in a day, and the entire global data is assimilated into these models. Now there also global models are different types. There are different models, so we run a different ensembles to get the information from the variety of the models. So this is the first thing. The second thing is then we run regional models at 9 kilometer or even 3 kilometers in certain cases to get the regional picture. And then the local forecast, like if you give a forecast in Delhi, the forecaster sees the global output, he sees the regional output and the local synoptic conditions. That means what was the temperature, humidity, cloudiness, wind, etc. on a particular time, and based on that he gives the forecast. So what the forecaster does for a local forecast, there is a long chain of the knowledge, and all these information gets included into a forecast. Many times the question comes that where do we stand as far as the international standards. Now today the analysis which you see on the screen is done by National Center for Environmental Prediction of US. They routinely every month do an analysis of the accuracy of the forecast of the different centers, and you can see that our forecast, which is written as a NCMRWF, that is National Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting, you can see up to 3 days our forecast is more or less similar to US and UK. Only the European Center is able to do much better than anybody else. That means we need to still improve upon the forecast, but by and large we are not that far behind. And those who have been following the forecast in Delhi would see that the forecast during the last season, during this winter, it has come out absolutely true. When we say it is going to rain, it has rained. When temperature goes up and down, it has happened. So, this improvement has come essentially because of our investment in observations, understanding of the science, the using the latest models and customizing those models for the Indian condition and investing in high performance computing. But the most important part is the people, and we have invested very heavily to train the people who are already there, and the new people we have set up an advanced training school through which they get 18 months training to be able to give a forecast. So, all this resulted in improvement in the forecast. Now, how it has affected different sectors of the society. The first is, let us look at the agriculture. For agriculture, what we have been doing is the 5-day forecast along with the Indian Agriculture University, ICAR and Ministry of Agriculture together are converted on a specific crop basis for the farmers. And here the minimum maximum temperature, the cloudiness, humidity, wind and rainfall are taken into account, and this forecast is given to the farmers through variety of the print and the electronic media. The last few years we started giving this information on a mobile as a SMS, and this has proved to be extremely useful because this is given in the local language, in Maharashtra in Marathi, in Karnataka in Kannada, like that. And today we have about 8 million farmers are receiving this service. So, this is the first example how the society benefits by the accurate weather forecast. And it also has a lot of economic benefit because the farmers, those who use this, can take advantage of the weather if it is going to be favorable. Like if it is going to rain, they did not provide an irrigation, or if there is going to be an adverse climate, then they are ready to respond to that. That means if it is not going to rain, they can provide the irrigation. So, this way they could increase their productivity by 7 to 8%, and the survey done by National Council of Applied Economic Research says the benefit to the national GDP is 34,000 crore rupees. So, it has a huge benefit to the country when the accurate weather forecasts are provided. Similarly, these forecasts are also useful to water resources people to design the storms. They give the flood forecast, also to find out whether in particular region the rainfall is deficient or not deficient or leading towards the drought conditions or not. So, all this information is also very critical. The floods, like in recent Jammu and Kashmir, we had given this information 3 days in advance that the extreme heavy rainfall likely to occur in this Kashmir valley, but there were other issues because the Kashmir valley is a sort of a bowl that once water comes in, on its own it can't get out, and that is why they had to, that they have to use the pumps to drain out the water. But the information was existing, and because of that the administration was ready to respond to such as extreme weather. Nowadays there is a long talk about the air quality. So, in Delhi we have last 4 years started giving the what is the status of air quality at different places. 11 different places in Delhi today we monitor this, and also we give a forecast for next 24 hours. So, this is quite useful, and this essentially was started during the Commonwealth Games for the stadiums, because the weather and the air quality at the stadium was very critical for the performance of the sports person. Also some of the wind and all can also affect their performances. So this is the information provided, and then we continued. Now this also started in Pune. Shortly we will be starting in Mumbai, and once this experience is good, we will start in all major cities of the country. Also, we are giving in 310 towns a extreme weather conditions, and this is also very well received. There are many special forecasts, like forecast for the Amarnath Ji Yatra. Every day the 4 o'clock the forecast is given, and based on that forecast only Yatra proceeds further. We have also started the heliport service on Vaishno Devi, also in Juhu Airport. Also we provide forecast for the wind farms, because those who are familiar, the wind farms has to give that how much electricity or power they are going to produce for next 5 days. So they need to know what would be the wind condition for the next 5 days. So this is also a very important forecast which is given to the wind farms. Monsoon is always very important, and the seasonal monsoon forecast, India depends very largely on this, and there is always a major anxiety that how the monsoon likely to be every year. So we give the forecast in April, and then in May, and then it is updated in June, July and August. And last few years you would have seen that the forecast has been pretty accurate. Last year we have said that it is going to be below normal, and it remained so. The onset date was also within the limits. We said June 5, it became June 6. So overall the seasonal forecast is extremely good, which allows the national and the state government to be prepared if there is going to be excessive rainfall or a deficient rainfall, in terms of providing either irrigation or the movement of fertilizer, seeds. There are several such issues which are addressed based on this forecast. We also give the active and break cycles, which is very critical for the farmer, because if there is going to be a long break or a long active monsoon, they need to prepare for this, and this also have been given from the last year. Now this is about the monsoon, but the question is how monsoon originated, and most of us been told that the monsoon came along with the evolution of Himalayas. But what exactly happened, whether it was in a one shot or whether it was gradually evolving, how in last 8 or 10 million years the monsoon behaved. So we are now putting a deep borehole in Arabian Sea to recover the core, and the sediment core which will be coming will tell us how the monsoon was and how the Himalayas are evolved. So this experiment is planned with the US, and it is international experiment. We are likely to give some of the new information, as I told you, some of the programs where we would like to discover something new. So this is the one program where we have invested very heavily.
Now let us summarize what we have learned. We briefly learned about how different processes and interactions between the atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere and biosphere are linked. We also learned about nation strength in the field of weather prediction, hydrometeorological services, evolution of Himalaya, and how these developments are useful to the society. Thank you.